Hare University has vowed to keep slain law student Nosicelo Mtebeni's memory and legacy alive. The university convocation president, Advocate Andile Mini, says the institution has pledged to adopt Mtebeni's family and provide support for the next 4 years. An emotional memorial service for Mtebeni concluded just a short while ago. Her life was tragically cut short, allegedly by her boyfriend, after an altercation. Her body was found dismembered and stuffed in a suitcase last week. Our senior reporter Malungelo Booi was following the memorial service and joins us live. A very good afternoon to you, Malungelo. A very moving service that we've seen throughout the course of this morning, speaker after speaker, just talking about Nosicelo and how she was such a beacon of hope for her family, how she was such a diligent student, and also the impact that she had on everybody around her. Talk us through some of the key messaging that came through from today's memorial service.
That's right, Tammy. Family, friends and peers of the late Nosicelo Mtebeni spent about 3 hours, Tammy, essentially reflecting about her life and how her life was cut short, as you rightfully pointed out. Most of the people describing her as a person who was a beacon of hope to her family, because, Tammy, she was going to be the first person in her family to graduate. And this is a young girl who had aspirations of becoming a constitutional court judge. Now, all of that, Tammy, has been deferred. And of course, some of the speakers here decrying government's lackluster conduct, really, in tackling gender-based violence. In fact, I want us to listen to Dr. Sipoka Zikoyana. She's the deputy chairperson of the University of Hare. She challenged the president to do more in tackling gender-based violence and femicide in this country. Let's take a listen.
I was fortunate to have dinner with him at a fundraising event for the Ramaphosa Foundation in 2017. When I asked him how exactly he was going to end the murder of women, he looked me in the eye and promised that when he became president, he would make sure that each and every government department develops a program against gender-based violence. So we are therefore challenging him and his ministers to treat this pandemic with the rigor and urgency it deserves. We applaud the government for its proactiveness, its responsiveness, and energy in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. We need that same kind of commitment, responsiveness, and capability that the government has demonstrated against COVID-19, replicated in this war against GBV.
Malungelo, one of the key things that came out is the relationship between Nosicelo and her family, and how she was really about to complete her studies and how she was really positioned to change the future and the trajectory of her family's life.
Tammy, certainly. Nosicelo comes from Matatiele. She was born, interestingly enough, in Vosloorus in Gauteng, and her parents moved to Matatiele here in the Eastern Cape. It's one of the impoverished communities or towns here in the Eastern Cape, Tammy, and her mother is not working. Her father is a street vendor. So her family was hoping that really, you know, with her being a final year law student, next year this young lady was going to perhaps start to make a living and uplift her family. And all of that, Tammy, will not be happening, not anymore, because she's no more. Well, the president of the convocation here at the University of Hare, Advocate Andile Mini, actually told the gathering that they will provide support to the Mtebeni family. Let's take a listen.
For the duration of our term in the next 4 years, we want to adopt Nosicelo's family and provide the support that is needed. From the meeting of yesterday till to date, amongst ourselves as executive of convocation, we have made contribution to the tune of 150,000 from ourselves. And we have appointed individuals who are going to run and make sure that we fundraise through the Forte Foundation, and will make sure that it is done with dignity. We have appointed Dr. Klaas, Vice Chancellor. We have appointed Dr. Mawisa, Mr. Mteza Abuya, as well as Mishek Mugabe to run and make sure that we fundraise enough money to support the family for the duration of our term. It will be done through the needs analysis and in consultation with the family. We are, Vice Chancellor, also planning to approach the university with regards to the legacy project that will be named after Nosicelo.
Malungelo also addressing the bereaved as well as the nation this afternoon or earlier this morning was Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Buti Manamela. He touched on a couple of key issues. If you could take us through some of those that really sprung out to you.
That's right, Tammy. I mean, he read the names, Tammy. In fact, it was several names, I think about 4 or 5 names that he read out of tertiary students who were murdered by their boyfriends, and then said, when will this end? And he then described us men as gangs who really thrive in hurting those that are perceived to be weaker than us, you know, females. And he said, this needs to end, Tammy. But I also want to draw your attention, Tammy, to something one of the students, in fact, Sipoka Zimbalo, is in the SRC, and she's in charge of transformation and gender there. That's her portfolio, where this is something that she has said before, that she does not want herself and her peers to be called Imbokodo, because she is not Imbokodo. Because she says Imbokodo is something that does not have feelings. As a female, she has feelings. She has emotions. She does feel pain. She says she no longer wants to be called an Imbokodo, and as women they should not be called that, because if you're calling them Imbokodo, you're referring them to, you mean that they don't have an emotion, they don't feel pain. And she says they at the moment they're actually feeling pain, they are angry, and they need government to deal with gender-based violence as a matter of urgency.
Certainly. Thank you very much for that, Malungelo Booi. That's our Malungelo Booi, who was covering the memorial service of Nosicelo Mtebeni this afternoon and for early parts of this morning at Hare University. Thank you very much for that, Malungelo.